Commander Taeho Kim sat alone in the control room of his research vessel, the Horizon. His fingers tapped lazily against the console as he monitored the asteroid mapping operation. The mission was simple: chart the mineral composition of the larger rocks in this section of the belt, data that would later be used by mining corporations back on Earth. 6 more hours, he muttered to himself, stretching his arms above his head. The isolation of deep space missions never bothered him. After 10 years with Earth's science court, he preferred the quiet of space to the noise of humanity. A sharp beep from the sensor array jolted him upright. The screen displayed an anomaly, a metallic object where no metallic object should be. "Computer, identify," Taeho commanded, instantly alert. "Unknown spacecraft. Composition does not match any Earth or allied designs," the AI responded in its flat voice. "Size comparable to standard escape pod. Detecting hull damage and minimal power signature." Taeho frowned. Protocol was clear. Any encounter with unknown technology required immediate reporting to Earth Defense Command. They would dispatch a military vessel, the object would be quarantined, and his simple research mission would become a bureaucratic nightmare. He hesitated, then adjusted the Horizon's course. "Let's take a closer look first," he decided. 30 minutes later, the Horizon drifted alongside the mysterious craft. Through the viewport, Taeho could see it was indeed pod-shaped, roughly 5 meters long, with a smooth, metallic surface that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. Several jagged holes punctured its hull, revealing darkness within. Protocol screamed in his mind. "Report. Wait for orders. Do not engage." Instead, Taeho suited up. "Computer, maintain position. Alert me of any approaching vessels." The airlock cycled, and Taeho pushed off toward the alien craft, maneuvering with his suit thrusters. Up close, the damage looked worse. Not accidental, but deliberate. Weapon impacts. A circular hatch dominated one end of the pod, sealed tight despite the damage elsewhere. Taeho ran his scanner over the surface, detecting a faint life sign inside. Something was alive in there. His heart raced as he attached a portable power unit to what appeared to be an external access panel. After several attempts, the hatch slid open with a hiss of escaping atmosphere. Taeho shined his light inside. The interior was cramped, filled with unfamiliar technology. And there, curled against a control panel, was a figure. Not human, but humanoid. Her body was slender, proportioned similarly to a human woman, but her skin had a subtle blue shimmer that caught the light. Where human skin might have freckles or birthmarks, delicate patterns like scales traced her exposed temples and hands. A dark liquid, silvery rather than red, seeped from a wound in her side. "Hello," Taeho called, knowing she couldn't understand. "I'm going to help you." The figure didn't respond. Her chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. Making his decision, Taeho carefully maneuvered into the pod. The alien was light in his arms as he carried her back to the Horizon. Inside his ship's small medical bay, he laid her gently on the examination table and removed his helmet. The ship's medical scanner whirred as it passed over her body. Subject is humanoid but non-terrestrial. Several biological similarities to human physiology detected. Major injury to lower torso requires treatment. Blood loss significant. Taeho worked quickly, cleaning and sealing the wound with the medical kit's universal healing gel. It was designed for human tissue, but the scanner suggested it would be compatible. As he worked, he studied her face, so alien yet strangely beautiful, with high cheekbones and a delicate jaw. Her closed eyes had no visible eyebrows, and where hair would be on a human, she had what looked like fine, white filaments that moved slightly with her breath. "What happened to you?" he wondered aloud. "And what am I going to do with you now?" His communication system chirped, making him jump. Incoming transmission from Earth Defense Command. Priority level. Routine. Just the weekly check-in. Taeho glanced at the alien woman, then at the communication panel. If he answered, he would have to report her. They would order him to secure her and return to Earth immediately. Delay response, he told the computer. Sight radiation interference. The alien's eyes suddenly fluttered open. They were entirely violet with no visible pupils, just pools of luminous color that somehow focused directly on him. She tried to sit up, panic evident in her movement. Easy, Taiho said, gently pressing her shoulders back down. You're safe. I'm helping you. She spoke, her voice musical and strange, words incomprehensible but clearly questions. I can't understand you, Taiho said, then pointed to himself. Taho. He repeated it, tapping his chest. The alien watched him carefully, then raised a trembling hand to her own chest. Juwu, she said, the sound clear despite her obvious accent. Juwu, Taiho repeated, smiling. Nice to meet you, though I wish it were under better circumstances. Juwu's hand suddenly shot out, grabbing his wrist. Her touch was cool, almost cold. Before Taiho could react, a sensation like ice water flowing through his mind overwhelmed him. Images flashed in his thoughts, a planet with 3 moons, ships similar to her escape pod, but larger, figures like her arguing around a table, an explosion, then fear and flight. When she released him, Taiho staggered back, gasping. What was that? He asked, knowing she couldn't answer. Juwu's violet eyes held his gaze. She pointed to her temple, then to his, then made a connecting gesture between them. Telepathy. Taiho guessed. You showed me your memories. She nodded slowly, seeming to understand his tone, if not his words. The medical scanner beeped, completing its analysis. Subject stabilized. Recommend continued rest and monitoring. Taiho's communication system chirped again, more insistently. Earth Defense Command requesting immediate response. Delay explanation not accepted. In that moment, Taiho made his choice. Something was happening out here. Something bigger than his research mission. Bigger than protocol. This alien woman, Juwu, had sought escape from something terrible enough to risk her life. Computer, set course for the outer belt, he ordered, and prepare a response to command. Tell them I've encountered minor engine difficulties and will report in once resolved. Juwu watched him, her violet eyes somehow conveying both gratitude and worry. Don't worry, Taiho told her, though she couldn't understand. Whatever you're running from, I'll help you. The Horizon's engines hummed to life, carrying them deeper into the asteroid belt, away from Earth, and whatever forces might be pursuing the mysterious alien woman who had quite literally fallen into Taiho's life. 3 days passed aboard the Horizon as it drifted through the outer reaches of the asteroid belt. Taiho had converted his small living quarters into a space for Juwu, giving her the bed while he took the floor. Her wound was healing remarkably fast, the silver blood clotting and new tissue forming under the medical gel. Communication remained their biggest challenge. Taiho pointed at objects, saying their names in Korean, while Juwu responded with musical words in her own language. The telepathic connection she had established that first day seemed to drain her energy, so they used it sparingly. On the morning of the 4th day, Taiho entered with a tray of food, nutrient packs and water, to find Juwu standing by the viewport, watching the stars. Feeling better? He asked, setting down the tray. She turned, her violet eyes brightening at the sight of him. Better, she repeated, the word awkward on her tongue but recognizable. Taiho. Good. He smiled. I'm glad you think so. The Earth Defense Command doesn't agree. They've sent 3 more messages. Juwu tilted her head, clearly not understanding his words but sensing his concern. She pointed to the communications panel, then made a cutting motion with her hand. Yes, I've been ignoring them, Taiho confirmed, but that can't last forever. He sat on the edge of the bed and motioned for her to join him. When she did, he pointed to her, then out toward the stars, raising his eyebrows in question. Juwu nodded, seeming to understand. She placed her cool fingertips against his temple. Show, she said. The now familiar sensation of cold water flowed through his mind, but more controlled this time. He saw images of Juwu's people, the Lissari, she somehow conveyed. Elegant beings with the same shimmering skin and violet eyes. Their civilization spanned multiple worlds around a distant star. Then the images darkened. The Lissari were divided. Angry faces shouted in council chambers. Ships fired upon one another. Two clear factions emerged in Taiho's mind, those who wanted peace with other species and those who believed in conquest. Jiwu showed herself in a laboratory, working with other scientists. A discovery was made, something terrible, a weapon that could target specific genetic markers. In the vision, planets withered and species died while the Lissari remained unharmed. The final image was of Jiwu stealing a small cylindrical object and fleeing in the escape pod, pursuing ships firing upon her until she crashed in the asteroid belt. When she broke the connection, Taiho gasped for breath. "You're trying to stop a genocide," he whispered. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. "Warning! Multiple vessels detected approaching at high velocity," the computer announced. "Configuration unknown. Not Earth defense vessels." Taiho rushed to the control room, Jiwu following close behind. The sensor display showed 3 large ships entering the asteroid belt, their design similar to what he had seen in Jiwu's memories. "Lissari," he said, looking at her. Her face paled, the blue shimmer of her skin fading. "Dominance," she replied, the fear in her voice needing no translation. The communication system activated without prompting. A stern Lissari male appeared on screen, his violet eyes hard and cold. "Primitive vessel," he said, his words somehow translated into Korean. "Return what you have stolen. The fugitive Jiwu must face Lissari justice." Taiho glanced at Jiwu, who shrank back from the screen. "How are they translating?" he whispered. "Scan your communication system," she managed in broken Korean. Taiho faced the screen. "This is Commander Taiho Kim of Earth Science Corps. The person you seek is under my protection." "Your protection is meaningless," the Lissari commander responded. "Our scans show your vessel has minimal defensive capabilities. Surrender the fugitive, or we will destroy your ship and retrieve her from the debris." The transmission cut. Taiho's hands flew over the controls, plotting a course deeper into the asteroid field. "Computer, maximum thrust. Use the asteroids for cover." The horizon lurched forward, weaving between the massive rocks. The Lissari ships followed, their larger size making them less maneuverable, but their superior engines helping them close the gap. "What did you steal from them?" Taiho asked, as the ship shuddered under strain. Jiwu pointed to a pocket in her clothing. From it, she withdrew the cylinder he had seen in the vision, no larger than his thumb, glowing faintly with stored data. "The weapon," Taiho guessed. "The research." She nodded. "Plans. Proof. For counsel." Before Taiho could respond, the communication system activated again. This time, it was an Earth Defense Command officer, looking stern and concerned. "Commander Kim, this is Captain Soo-jin of the EDS Vigilant. We have detected alien vessels pursuing your position. What is your situation?" Taiho hesitated only briefly. "Captain, I have a Lissari refugee aboard. She has evidence of a weapon being developed by a hostile faction of her species, a weapon that could threaten all life on Earth. The pursuing vessels intend to silence her." Captain Soo-jin's eyes widened. "Commander, you are ordered to return to Earth immediately for debriefing." "With respect, Captain, if I change course for Earth, I'll lead these ships directly to our home planet. They're faster than my vessel. They'll catch us before we reach safety." A nearby explosion rocked the ship as one of the Lissari vessels fired at an asteroid, clearing a path toward them. "They are firing weapons," Taiho reported. "I need to focus on evasion." Captain Soo-jin's face hardened. "The Vigilant is dispatching to your location. Estimated arrival: 2 hours. Can you evade for that long?" "I'll do my best," Taiho promised, then cut the transmission. Jiwu looked at him, understanding dawning in her eyes. "Earth helps." "Maybe," Tai-ho said, not entirely convinced himself. But we need to stay alive until they arrive. He guided the Horizon through a narrow gap between two massive asteroids, scraping the ship's hull in the process. One of the pursuing Lissari vessels, attempting to follow, collided with the rock and spun away, damaged but not destroyed. Two left, Tai-ho said grimly. Ju-woo moved to the co-pilot's seat, studying the controls with remarkable speed. To Tai-ho's surprise, she began adjusting the sensor array, her fingers moving with practiced precision. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Find. Hiding," she replied, concentrating intensely. The sensor display changed, revealing a dense cluster of metallic asteroids ahead. Ju-woo pointed to it. "Hide there, like home asteroid mines." Tai-ho understood. The metallic content would confuse sensors, making them harder to track. As they raced toward the cluster, another blast from the Lissari ship struck nearby, sending a shower of rocky debris against the Horizon's hull. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "Hull breach in cargo section," the computer reported. "Emergency containment activated." Ju-woo grabbed Tai-ho's arm, her violet eyes intense. "Trust me," she said, the words clear despite her accent. For a human he had known less than a week. An alien, no less. Tai-ho was surprised to realize just how much he already did trust her. "Lead the way," he said, surrendering the controls. As the Lissari ships closed in behind them, the Horizon plunged into the metallic asteroid cluster, disappearing from their pursuers' sensors, but racing against time until Earth's defenders could arrive. The metallic asteroid cluster provided temporary safety for the Horizon. Tai-ho had maneuvered the ship into a hollow space inside one of the larger rocks, powering down all but essential systems to minimize their energy signature. The pursuing Lissari vessels circled outside, their scanning beams occasionally washing over the asteroid's surface. In the dim emergency lighting of the control room, Tai-ho watched Ju-woo work. She had opened a panel beneath the communications console and was carefully modifying the ship's neural interface, a device typically used for direct computer access during complex operations. "What are you doing?" he asked, fascinated by her deft movements. Ju-woo glanced up, her violet eyes reflecting the soft blue emergency lights. "Make better talk," she said, struggling with the Korean words. "Mind to mind, but with words." Tai-ho understood. The brief telepathic connections they had shared were limited to images and emotions. She was trying to create something more precise. "A translator," he suggested. She nodded, returning to her work. After several minutes, she held up the modified neural interface, now connected to a small device from her own equipment. "Try," she said, offering one end to Tai-ho while placing the other against her temple. Hesitantly, Tai-ho positioned the interface against his own head. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a strange sensation washed over him. Not the cold rush of their previous connections, but something warmer, more structured. "Can you understand me now?" Ju-woo's voice seemed to form directly in his mind, her words accented but clear. Tai-ho's eyes widened. "Yes. How is this possible?" "I've adapted your neural interface to connect with Lissari communication technology," she explained, her lips not moving but her thoughts flowing into his mind. "Our scientists developed this for diplomatic missions to species with different vocal capabilities." "This is incredible," Tai-ho said, both speaking aloud and thinking the words simultaneously. "It's temporary," Ju-woo cautioned, "and limited in range. But it will help us understand each other while we're in danger." A proximity alert beeped softly, drawing their attention to the sensor display. One of the Lissari ships had moved closer to their hiding place. "They're still searching," Tai-ho observed. "Your people are persistent." "Not my people," Ju-woo corrected, a wave of sadness accompanying her thoughts. "The dominants. They believe the galaxy belongs to the Lissari alone. My faction, the Harmonizers, seeks peaceful coexistence with other species." Through their connected minds, Tai-ho felt the depth of her conviction, and her pain at being hunted by her own kind. "The weapon they're developing," he said. "Tell me more." Juwoo's thoughts darkened. "It's a pathogen designed to attack specific genetic structures. Any that aren't Lissari. It would spread throughout an ecosystem, eliminating all non-Lissari life while leaving our people unharmed." "That's genocide on a galactic scale," Tahoe whispered. "Yes, I was part of the research team, believing we were developing medical technology. When I discovered the truth, I stole the research data and fled. If I can bring this to the Lissari High Council with proof of the dominant's intentions, they would stop the project." The ship shuddered as a scanning beam passed directly over their position. They both fell silent, watching the sensors. "The Earth ship should arrive soon," Tahoe finally said. "But I don't know if they'll help us or just take you into custody." "Either would be better than capture by the dominants," Juwoo replied. "At least I might have a chance to explain with Earth authorities." A sudden curiosity struck Tahoe. "What do you think of humans? Of Earth?" Juwoo's thoughts shifted, becoming lighter. "Fascinating. Your species is so young compared to mine, yet you've achieved so much. You're remarkably adaptable." Her violet eyes met his, "and surprisingly similar to Lissari in many ways." "How old is your civilization?" Tahoe asked. "We achieved interstellar travel over 20,000 of your Earth years ago," she answered. "We've studied many species across this sector of the galaxy, though we've avoided direct contact with most. But you've been watching us from a distance. Your world is of interest because your evolution followed a similar path to ours, despite the different environments." Tahoe laughed softly. "And here I thought I was making first contact. Your people have probably been monitoring us for centuries." "The harmonizers have," Juwoo confirmed. "We find humans particularly interesting because of your emotional complexity. Your capacity for both destruction and compassion is remarkable. Like your decision to steal the research," Tahoe noted. "That took courage. And your decision to help me rather than follow your protocols," she countered. "That took compassion." A comfortable silence fell between them, their minds gently connected. Tahoe found himself studying her features, so alien yet increasingly familiar to him. The blue shimmer of her skin had strengthened as she recovered from her injuries, and the scale-like patterns at her temples seemed to shift subtly with her emotions. "You're staring," Juwoo observed, amusement coloring her thoughts. Tahoe felt heat rise to his cheeks. "Sorry. It's just." A violent explosion cut him off, throwing them both forward as the asteroid around them shuddered. "They found us." Tahoe scrambled back to the controls, powering up the engines. "We need to move." Another blast rocked the ship, warning lights flashing across the console. "Hull integrity compromised," the computer announced. "Power coupling in Sector 3 damage." "Can we still fly?" Juwoo asked, strapping herself into the co-pilot's seat. "Yes, but not for long," Tahoe answered, guiding the Horizon out of the asteroid and into open space. The two Lissari vessels immediately gave chase, weapons charging. The Earth ship. Juwoo's thoughts projected urgency. Tahoe checked the long-range sensors, still 30 minutes out. "We need to evade until then." He pushed the engines to maximum, weaving between asteroids as the Lissari ships fired. One blast struck the rear of the Horizon, sending a power surge through the systems. "Power coupling overload," Tahoe shouted, seeing the warning indicators. Without hesitation, Juwoo unbuckled and raced toward the engine room. "I can fix it." "Juwoo, wait," Tahoe called, but she was already gone. Through their neural connection, he felt her determination as she reached the damaged section. He also felt her pain as she worked directly with the overheating coupling, the heat burning her hands. "Juwoo, stop. You're hurting yourself." "Almost done," she replied, her thoughts strained. The ship stabilized, the warning lights fading. Moments later, Juwoo stumbled back into the control room, her hands blistered with silver-tinged burns. "You didn't have to do that," Tahoe said, taking the medical kit and applying healing gel to her injuries. "Yes, I did," she replied simply. "You risked everything to help me. I will do the same for you." As Taiho gently wrapped her hands, their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them. A connection deeper than the neural interface could facilitate. A new alert sounded from the console. Multiple vessels approaching. The computer announced. Earth Defense Fleet signatures detected. "They're here," Taiho said, relief flooding through him. "And now," Ju added, her thoughts tinged with both hope and uncertainty, "we find out if they're friends or simply different captors." The Earth Defense Fleet vessel Vigilant emerged from hyperspace, its sleek hull gleaming against the backdrop of Jupiter's swirling clouds. Two smaller patrol ships flanked it, weapons systems active and shields raised. Captain Sujin had arrived with impressive force. Taiho's damaged research vessel limped toward the Earth ships, while the two Lisari warships maintained their pursuit, creating a tense standoff as they approached Jupiter's orbit. "Commander Kim, this is Captain Sujin. Your situation has been classified as a first contact crisis. Prepare to dock with the Vigilant immediately." Taiho glanced at Ju, who sat beside him with the neural interface still connected to her temple. Her burned hands were wrapped in medical bandages, but her violet eyes remained alert and focused. "They want us to board their ship," he explained through their mental connection. "And the Dominance?" she asked, her thoughts tinged with worry. As if in answer, the larger of the two Lisari vessels opened a communication channel. The stern commander appeared on screen, his violet eyes cold with anger. "Earth vessels," he stated, his words automatically translated by Ju's modified interface. "I am Commander Dai of the Lisari Dominance Fleet. You harbor a dangerous fugitive who has stolen critical military secrets. This is an internal Lisari matter." Captain Sujin's face appeared on a split screen. She was a composed woman with short gray hair and the hard eyes of someone who had seen combat. "This is Captain Sujin of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are in Earth's solar system without permission or prior diplomatic contact. Stand down your weapons or we will consider your presence hostile." Taiho activated his own communication channel. "Captain Sujin, the Lisari fugitive, has critical information about a biological weapon that could threaten Earth. She defected to prevent its use." Commander Day's expression shifted subtly. "The human is deceived. Ju is a saboteur who has damaged important medical research. Her actions endanger countless Lisari lives." Ju stood suddenly, moving into view of the camera despite Taiho's attempt to stop her. "Commander Dai was my research director," she said, her words transmitted both to Taiho through their neural link and to the communication system. "He ordered the development of a pathogen designed to eliminate all non-Lisari life in any ecosystem. I have the proof." Day's eyes narrowed. "Child, you misunderstand the greater purpose. Your emotional attachment to primitive species has clouded your judgment." "Captain," Taiho interjected, "request permission to dock with the Vigilant. The Lisari fugitive has evidence that needs to be examined by Earth scientists immediately." Captain Sujin studied them for a long moment, then nodded. "Permission granted. Approach docking bay 3. The horizon slowly moved toward the much larger Earth vessel. Behind them, the Lisari ships advanced as well. "Earth vessel," Commander Dai warned, "interference in Lisari affairs will be considered an act of war. Your presence in our solar system without permission already constitutes a hostile act." Captain Sujin replied evenly. "We are protecting our interests by securing information about a potential threat to Earth." As the horizon neared the Vigilant's docking bay, Taiho felt a wave of tension through the neural link with Ju. "What's wrong?" he asked silently. "Dai will not surrender so easily," she replied. "The Dominants have invested too much in the pathogen project. If Earth obtains my evidence, their plans will fail." The ship shuddered as they entered the Vigilant's docking field. Through the viewport, they could see armed soldiers waiting in the bay. "Will Earth protect us?" Ju asked, uncertain. They'll protect Earth's interests, Taiho answered honestly. If your evidence proves the threat is real, they'll act to neutralize it. Suddenly, warning alarms blared throughout both ships. On the sensor display, the Lissari vessels accelerated, weapons charging. They're attacking, Taiho shouted. The Vigilance shields activated moments before the Lissari energy beams struck. The docking field wavered, causing the horizon to bounce violently against the bay floor. Seal the ship, Captain Sujin ordered over the comms. Prepare to return fire. Taiho worked the controls, trying to stabilize their position. Juhu moved to the data console and inserted the small cylinder she had stolen. We need to transmit the evidence now, she said urgently. If they destroy us, the information will be lost. Taiho nodded, opening the secure data channel to the Vigilance systems. Captain, we're transmitting the evidence now. The data contains research plans and test results for a pathogen designed to target non-Lissari DNA. Another blast rocked the ships. The Vigilant returned fire, its superior weapons striking one of the Lissari vessels and causing visible damage. On the communication screen, Commander De's face contorted with rage. Jiwu, you betray your own kind for these primitives. I betray nothing, Jiwu replied, her thoughts echoing her spoken words. I protect the true values of our people, harmony and respect for all life. Transmission complete, Taiho announced. Captain Sujin, have your scientists received the data? Confirmed, the captain replied. Initial analysis suggests the evidence is legitimate. The pathogen design appears capable of targeting specific genetic markers while leaving others unharmed. Commander De's vessel surged forward, firing directly at the docking bay. The Vigilance shields wavered, and part of the energy beam penetrated, striking near the horizon. Direct hit to docking bay 3, a voice reported over the Vigilance comms. Containment field holding, but structural damage reported. Taiho saw a power conduit above them spark dangerously. Look out, he shouted, but Jiwu had already seen it. Without hesitation, she pushed him aside as the conduit exploded, sending a shower of energized plasma downward. The blast caught Jiwu directly, throwing her across the control room. Taiho scrambled to her side, horrified to see the severe burns across her shoulder and chest. Jiwu, he cried, both aloud and through their neural connection. Her thoughts came weakly. Transmit. To harmonizers too. Other Lissari ships. At edge of system. They must know. Understanding her plan, Taiho returned to the console. Captain Sujin, there are other Lissari vessels at the edge of the solar system. Peaceful ones. Jiwu requests we transmit the evidence to them as well. Captain Sujin hesitated only briefly. Do it. And prepare for emergency evacuation to the Vigilant. Your ship is too damaged to remain there. Taiho initiated a broad-spectrum transmission, sending the damning evidence of the dominance plans to any Lissari vessel that might be monitoring. As he worked, he felt Jiwu's consciousness fading through their neural link. Stay with me, he urged her. Help is coming. Commander De's ship fired again, but this time the Vigilant was ready. Its main weapons lanced out, striking the Lissari vessel's propulsion system. The enemy ship veered off course, trailing debris. Earth defense soldiers entered the horizon, moving quickly to evacuate them. 2 medics carefully lifted Jiwu onto a stretcher, while another helped Taiho to his feet. As they carried Jiwu toward the Vigilance medical bay, her eyes fluttered open, finding Taiho's face. You risked everything, she whispered through their fading neural connection. For someone not even of your world. That, Taiho replied, taking her bandaged hand in his, is what makes us human. The medical bay of the Earth Defense Fleet vessel Vigilant hummed with activity. Taiho sat beside Jiwu's bed, watching as the medical staff examined her burns with a mixture of scientific curiosity and professional concern. They had never treated a Lissari before, but the similarities in their biology made their standard treatments mostly effective. 3 days had passed since the confrontation with Commander De's ships. The transmission of Juwu's evidence had changed everything. Within hours, larger Lissari vessels had arrived at the edge of the solar system. Not the aggressive dominants, but the peaceful harmonizer faction Juwu belonged to. Captain Sujin entered the medical bay, her uniform crisp and her expression serious as always. "Commander Kim, how is our guest doing today?" Taiho stood. "Better, Captain. The doctors say she's healing faster than they expected." "Good. The harmonizer delegation will arrive in 2 hours. They're eager to see her." Captain Sujin glanced at Juwu, who was awake but still weak. "The diplomatic team has questions for both of you before then." Juwu nodded slightly. The neural interface had been damaged in the attack, so they had reverted to simpler communication. Juwu's improving Korean and expressive gestures. "Ready, talk," she said, her voice soft but determined. After Captain Sujin left, Taiho sat back down beside the bed. "The Earth Council has been in non-stop meetings since we arrived. Your evidence caused quite a stir." Juwu smiled faintly. "Good stir." "Very good. They understand the threat the dominants posed, and the risk you took to warn us." Taiho hesitated, then added, "The harmonizers sent a message for you. They say Commander Dae has been taken into custody. Your transmission reached not just them, but the Lissari High Council as well." Relief washed over Juwu's face, the blue shimmer of her skin brightening with emotion. "Mission complete," she whispered. "What will you do now?" Taiho asked, trying to keep his tone casual despite the tightness in his chest. "Return with your people." Before she could answer, a medical officer approached with a tablet. "Commander Kim, we've completed our analysis of the Lissari biological structure. Fascinating results. Would you like to see them?" Taiho glanced at the tablet, which displayed complex molecular models of Lissari DNA compared to human DNA. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Despite the obvious external differences, Lissari and humans share remarkable genetic similarities, more than we share with any Earth species. Their evolutionary path must have been remarkably similar to ours, despite developing on different worlds. The doctor continued excitedly. "Even more interesting, their communication abilities, what you described as telepathy, appears to be based on bioelectrical fields their nervous systems generate. With some adjustments, we might be able to create a more permanent neural interface than the one Juwu improvised." Taiho looked at Juwu, who was listening intently despite not understanding all the words. "You're saying we could communicate more effectively?" "Potentially, yes. With her permission, of course." Juwu nodded immediately. "Yes. Want better talk." 2 hours later, a harmonizer delegation arrived on the Vigilant. The Lissari representatives were similar to Juwu in appearance, but dressed in formal attire that shimmered with changing colors. Their leader, Science Director Gaiho, spoke through a translation device. "The Lissari harmonizers thank Earth for protecting Juwu and helping expose the dominant's illegal weapons program," he said during the formal meeting in the Vigilance conference room. "The High Council has condemned their actions and disbanded their military research division." Captain Sujin nodded. "Earth appreciates the harmonizer's swift response. We hope this incident can lead to formal diplomatic relations between our worlds." "That is our wish as well," Director Gaiho replied. He turned to Juwu, who sat in a hover chair, still recovering from her injuries. "Researcher Juwu, the Council recognizes your courage and clears you of all accusations. You may return home with full honors." Taiho felt his heart sink at these words, though he maintained a neutral expression. He had known this moment would come but wasn't prepared for how it would feel. Juwu looked at Director Gaiho, then at Taiho, and finally at Captain Sujin. With respect, she said in careful Korean, "I request, stay on Earth. As science liaison." A murmur ran through both the human and Lissari delegations. Director Gaiho's violet eyes widened slightly. "You wish to remain here?" "Yes. Much to learn. Much to teach." Juwu's gaze found Taiho again. Important. Bridge between worlds. Captain Su Jin considered this for a moment. That would require approval from the Earth Council, but speaking unofficially, I believe they would welcome such an arrangement. Director Gai-ho nodded slowly. If this is your wish, the harmonizers will support it. A permanent liaison would indeed benefit both our peoples. 1 month later, Tai-ho stood on the observation deck of the new Joint Species Research Station orbiting Earth. The facility had been created with remarkable speed once the diplomatic agreements were signed. Lissari and human scientists worked side by side, sharing knowledge and technology. Jiwoo joined him at the viewport, now fully recovered and wearing the blue uniform of the science division, modified to accommodate her physiology. Around her neck hung a small device, the improved neural interface designed by the joint medical team. "The Earth looks beautiful from here," she said, her words flowing naturally through the interface directly to Tai-ho's mind. "It does," he agreed. "How was your meeting with the diplomatic team?" "Productive. They've approved our proposal for cultural exchange programs." Jiwoo's violet eyes met his. "The first group of human scientists will visit the Lissari homeworld next month. And you'll be going with them." "As their guide, yes." She tilted her head, studying his expression. "You're concerned." Tai-ho smiled wryly. "Still getting used to how easily you read me." "Not just the neural interface," Jiwoo replied, her thoughts warm. "I've had plenty of practice now." They stood in comfortable silence, watching Earth rotate slowly below them. So much had changed in the 2 months since Tai-ho had found a damaged escape pod in the asteroid belt. First contact had led to formal diplomatic relations, scientific exchange, and the beginning of a new chapter in human history. "I've been assigned to the cultural exchange mission too," Tai-ho said finally. "Captain Su Jin recommended me personally." Jiwoo's joy flowed through their connection before she could form words. "That's wonderful news." "I think she suspected I'd find a way onto that mission, with or without official approval," Tai-ho admitted with a laugh. "Like when you ignored protocol to help an alien fugitive." "Exactly like that." Tai-ho turned to face her fully. "That was the best decision I ever made. You know. For both our worlds," Jiwoo agreed. "But also," she didn't need to complete the thought. Through their connection, Tai-ho felt what she meant. Something personal, something growing between them that transcended their biological differences. "The Lissari have a belief," Jiwoo said, her hand finding his, "that souls recognize each other, no matter how far apart they begin, even across different stars. Especially then." Her fingers, cooler than human but now so familiar, intertwined with his. "The universe is vast, but not as vast as some believe." As Earth completed another rotation below them, Tai-ho and Jiwoo stood together, representatives of 2 worlds now joined in friendship, and perhaps something more. The rescue of an alien girl had indeed sparked an unlikely romance, one that promised to bridge the gap between stars.